The screen showed $3,472.16, not $80,000. Emily's wedding fund had been bled dry.
This can't be right. There should be enough for the entire wedding.
She scrolled, her hand freezing on the trackpad. Recurring wire transfers, all to the same recipient.
Sol Dorado Tequila Import. That's Michael's vintage tequila startup. My brother.
She printed the transaction history, the pages spilling evidence across her desk.
Mom is the trustee. She's the only one who could authorize this. She's been stealing from me.
The numbers blurred as her eyes filled. Her grandfather's gift, meant for her new life, had financed 2 years of failing agave imports.
He needs it more. That's what she'll say. But it was my money. My wedding.
She closed the laptop and stared at her reflection in the dark screen. No more crying.
Tonight she's going to answer for this.
She went to the bookshelf and took down the framed photograph of her grandfather.
Grandpa Arthur promised me this money would be for my wedding. He trusted Mom to keep it safe.
Then she dialed the trust bank's number, her fingers cold against the screen.
I need to confirm the trustee on account 7742. Yes, Patricia Chen.
When the representative confirmed the name, the words hit like a second blow. No more room for doubt.
No more doubt. It was her. My own mother drained my wedding fund.
She grabbed her car keys and walked out into the evening chill, leaving the photo on the shelf.
She's going to tell me he needed it more. But I need it too. This was my future.
The drive across town blurred through a windshield smeared with streetlights and the sting of unshed tears.
She won't be able to talk her way out of this. Not tonight. Not after what she's done.
The car pulled up to the large white house. Emily's knock was 3 sharp beats.
Emily? What's wrong? You look pale.
Patricia stepped aside, and Emily walked into the living room. The silence was a held breath.
The trust account is almost empty. Did you think I wouldn't notice?
I was going to explain. Michael's company was collapsing. He needed an investor.
$80,000 of my money. My wedding money. You didn't say a word.
He's your brother. He deserves a chance. You can still get married, just simpler.
That's not the point. You stole from me. You broke Grandpa's trust.
Patricia's face didn't move. Emily felt the last thread of hope sever. She turned and walked out. Back in her apartment, she fell into Daniel's arms. But through the sobs, a memory surfaced. The trust binder she'd never read past page 1. Emily pulled away from Daniel's shoulder and walked to the cabinet where she stored her grandfather's papers.
Grandpa had a lawyer write this. Maybe there's something in here that Mom never read. Something only I would look for.
She flipped past the signature pages, the boilerplate, the disbursement schedule she already knew until her index finger stopped on page 3.
Upon the recipient's marriage, the full amount shall be disbursed within 90 days, and any pre-marriage transfers that divert the grantor's intent shall be subject to clawback.
A clawback clause buried under legalese on a page Patricia had never bothered to read.
Daniel, look at this. It says if the money was misused before my marriage, the trust can demand it back.
Could this actually work? Could you get the money back from Michael?
Emily didn't answer right away. She read the clause again, her heart hammering.
If I get married soon, the trust has to pay out, and all those transfers to Michael, they might be illegal under this clause.
She closed the binder, her fingers imprinting the leather. The despair was gone. In its place was a quiet, dangerous hope. Emily spent the next morning on the phone, confirming the clause with a free legal hotline.
So, if I get married, the trust must disperse within 90 days? And I can force a clawback on the past transfers?
The attorney on the line confirmed. The clause was airtight.
All I need is a marriage certificate. But it has to be fast before Patricia realizes what's coming.
She called Daniel into the room and spread the trust document on the table.
Daniel, if we elope, we can trigger the clause and take back what's mine.
Elope? You mean no big wedding? Just us? Where?
Lisbon? That little chapel with the blue tiles Grandpa used to talk about. We get married, I trigger the clause, and the money comes back to us.
Daniel took her hand. They had been planning a 200-person wedding they never wanted.
Then let's do it. A quiet wedding. For us. And the fallout is theirs to handle.
That evening, Emily's phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. The caller ID glowed. Michael?
Here it comes. Mom sent him to wear me down before I do anything.
Emily, please don't hang up. Mom told me about the statements. This could ruin everything.
Ruin everything? You spent $80,000 of my wedding money. You didn't ask. You just took.
I didn't know it was from your trust. Mom said it was surplus from the estate. She said you wouldn't miss it until later.
Surplus? Grandpa left that money for my wedding. You both knew. You just hoped I'd be too passive to notice.
Okay, fine, I knew. But the company was dying, Emily. I'll pay you back with interest, I swear. Just don't pull the plug.
Emily looked at the trust binder still lying on the coffee table. The clause ran through her mind.
I'm not pulling anything, Michael. The trust has its own rules. You and Mom will find out what happens when you break them.
She ended the call and stood still. Over the silence, she opened her laptop and typed 2 one-way tickets to Lisbon. The next morning, Emily sat across from her wedding planner, her voice steady.
We're canceling the entire event. Send the deposit refunds to my account.
Back home, she opened her laptop and sent 32 cancellation emails. Caterer, florist, photographer, every name crossed off.
No more 200 guests. No more wedding industrial spectacle. Just us and the clause.
That evening, they packed a single carry-on each, leaving the white lace gown and the tailored suit on their hangers.
If Patricia finds out before we board, she'll try to stop us. We have to move fast.
They drove to the airport in silence, the city lights sliding past the windows like the life they were leaving behind. At the departure gate, they sat close, her hand in his, watching the screen flicker.
This is it. Once we board, there's no looking back.
Good. I don't want to look back. Let's get married, get the clause triggered, and take back what's ours.
The plane touched down in a wash of golden morning light. Lisbon rose outside the window like a promise.
This city was Grandpa's favorite. He'd take me here one day, he said. Now I'm here for him, and for me.
They rode the yellow tram up the steep hill, past ceramic tiles and wrought iron balconies, until the city sprawled below them.
There. The little white chapel with the blue panels, just like your grandfather described.
Capella de São João. He had a postcard of this place on his desk my whole childhood. It feels like he led me here.
Inside, the chapel was empty. Sunlight poured through the azulejos, painting the pews in cobalt and gold.
We'd like to get married here. Tomorrow.
The priest, an old man with kind eyes, opened his book. Sim, Hamanier, 400 euros. Just you two?
Just us. That's all we need.
Tomorrow, I'll be married. And then the clause activates. Patricia has no idea what's coming.
That evening, Lisbon softened into dusk. Emily and Daniel walked hand in hand through the Alfama streets, no destination in mind.
You're quiet? Are you nervous about tomorrow? Or about everything we left behind?
Both. But mostly I'm thinking about Grandpa. He'd have loved this. He'd have hated what Mom did.
They stopped at a Miradoro, the city lights flickering below. Daniel put his arm around her shoulder. Then she pulled out her phone and hit Patricia's contact. It went to voicemail after 2 rings. Emily drew a breath and spoke into the silence. The voice that came out was calm, almost gentle.
Mom, it's me. I'm fine. Don't worry and don't try to call. I'm taking care of myself now.
She ended the call and put the phone down. The weight of years seemed to lift from her shoulders.
That was the last time you need to hear her voice, if you want it to be.
I want it to be. Tomorrow I'll be a wife. And then I'll make sure she understands exactly what it cost to steal from me.
At noon, Emily and Daniel stood before the old priest in the Capella de São João, her simple white dress catching the light through the azulejos. The priest smiled and began the rite, his Portuguese mingling with the quiet certainty of 2 people who needed no audience.
I do.
I do.
They exchanged simple gold bands, no engraving, no flourish, the rings sliding onto fingers that had held each other through the worst. No music, no processional, only the whisper of candles, the faint scent of lilies, and the weight of a promise made. The priest raised his hand in blessing, and the chapel seemed to hold its breath, centuries of tile bearing witness. Then Daniel lifted her veil, a borrowed piece of lace, and kissed her, and the silence broke into quiet laughter. For 400 euros they had done what Patricia could never undo. The marriage was real, and the trust clause had just awakened.
It's done. I'm a wife. The clause is alive, and Patricia has no idea the countdown has begun.
They stopped at a corner kiosk where postcards spun in the sea breeze. Emily thumbed through the rack until her fingers stilled on a familiar image.
There it was. The Capella de São João, blue tiles catching the afternoon light. Grandpa kept this exact card on his desk.
She paid for the card and a pen, then led Daniel to a tiny cafe under a trellis of lemon trees.
She wrote 3 words in the space meant for a message. Already married. Don't call. No greeting. No name they would know.
Daniel watched the ink dry, his silence saying everything. This was not a postcard. It was a line drawn. She attached the stamp and walked to the red postal box on the corner, her hand steady. The card slid through the slot with a soft scrape, gone into the dark. The past was now irreversible.
She'll get it in a few days. She'll know I'm married, but she won't guess what follows until the bank calls.
Daniel tucked her hand into his. They had said their vows, and now the trust's machinery had begun to turn.
Tomorrow, I send the clawback notice. Tonight, let's just be married.
3 mornings later, Patricia Chen opened her mailbox to a stack of bills and a postcard with a Lisbon postmark. She held it up, squinting at the image of a tiled white chapel, then flipped it over. The written words hit her like a slap.
Already married? Don't call. That ungrateful girl went to Lisbon and got married behind my back.
Her fingers trembled as she speed dialed Emily's number. It rang 5 times before voicemail picked up.
Emily, what have you done? You call me this instant. You can't just run off and marry without telling your family. This is not over.
Across the ocean, Emily watched her phone light up with Patricia's name. She silenced the ringer and placed it face down on the cafe table.
She's welcome to yell at my voicemail all she wants. The real conversation starts when the bank calls her.
Back home, Patricia poured herself a glass of wine with a shaking hand, then called Michael. He answered on the first ring.
She actually eloped? In Portugal? Does Daniel know? What do we do?
They're both there. But she can't just ignore me. I'll fly over if I have to. She needs to explain herself.
The next morning, Emily sat cross-legged on the hotel bed, her laptop open to the trust document and a blank email draft.
This is it. 1 email, and the clawback becomes a legal fact. No more turning back.
She typed slowly, attaching a scanned copy of her marriage certificate and the highlighted clause, her fingers precise.
3 months ago, I was planning a 200-person wedding. Now I'm sending a legal notice to take back what's mine.
The subject line read, Arthur Bennett Trust, clawback demand per section 9.3. She pressed send before doubt could surface.
There. That felt better than any wedding reception. Now the bank has to act.
A progress bar flickered. Then the screen confirmed the message was delivered to the trust attorney and the bank's compliance office.
Patricia thinks an elopement is the biggest surprise. She hasn't read page 3.
Outside, the neoclassical facade of the bank stood silent, the institution that would soon move millions at Emily's command.
It's in motion. Now I wait for the fallout.
2 days later, Patricia's phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. The voice on the other end was calm and institutional.
What do you mean, a clawback demand? I'm the trustee. I would know if there was such a clause.
The bank officer recited the clause verbatim. Patricia's face drained of color as the words sank in.
Page 3. I never read page 3. She found something I missed.
She flung open the filing cabinet and yanked out the trust binder, pages spilling across the rug. Her finger traced the fine print of section 9.3. With each word, her world narrowed to a single suffocating truth.
Full disbursement upon marriage. Clawback on diverted funds. It's all here. She triggered it on purpose.
The binder slipped from her hands and thudded onto the floor. Patricia stumbled backward into a chair.
$80,000. Plus $61,000 in recoverable transfers, and I'm personally liable. How could she do this to me?
She sat alone in the dining room, a half-empty wine bottle forgotten on the table. The weight of the claws pressed down like a verdict. Patricia grabbed her phone and dialed Emily's number again, this time with the clause burning in her mind.
You planned this. You knew exactly what was in the trust, and you used it to destroy me. How could you?
Destroy you? You stole from me. Read page 3, Mom. It's all there. You did this to yourself.
Don't you dare talk to me like that. I'm your mother.
Emily ended the call mid-sentence. Across the ocean, she poured herself a glass of wine, her hands steady.
She still thinks this is about punishment. It's about what the law says she owes me.
Minutes later, Michael's phone buzzed with a formal notice. His business account had been frozen pending the clawback investigation.
Emily, please. I'm begging you. They froze everything. I can't even pay employees. This isn't fair.
The same phone. The same pleadings. But this time, the ringtone barely registered.
She placed the phone on silent and gazed out at the Lisbon rooftops. The revenge was no longer hers alone to carry. 2 days later, Emily's phone lit up with a banking alert. The notification read, "Credit, Arthur Bennett Trust Disbursement, $80,000. She opened the full balance. The number stared back at her. 80,000, untouched, finally hers.
I did it. The clause worked. Grandpa's money came back to me. Not a cent left for Michael's failing empire. Daniel, come see this.
Daniel crossed the room and looked at the screen. His face broke into a slow smile.
It actually worked. You did it, Emily.
We did it. Now let's go toast on the balcony.
They stepped out onto the tiled balcony, Lisbon's red rooftops stretching beneath a cloudless sky. 2 glasses of Vinho Verde clinked.
This is for Grandpa, and for every time Mom said I didn't need it. They'll call again, but I'm not picking up. The revenge isn't just the money, it's knowing they can't touch me anymore.
The next morning, they took the train to Sintra. The Peña Palace rose above the mist like a painted dream.
Before we leave Portugal, there's one more thing I need to mail.
At a souvenir kiosk, she picked a glossy postcard with the palace's yellow towers and blue sky. She sat at a cafe under an orange tree and took the cap off her pen. The postcard lay blank, waiting. She wrote 3 words in the center of the card, her hand steady.
Read page 3. She'll open the trust and see the trap I set months ago.
No greeting, no signature. Just the instruction she had once given her mother on the phone, now immortalized in ink. She sealed the postcard with a stamp and walked to the red postal box.
By the time she reads this, the clawback will have already hit. She'll know I won.
The card disappeared into the slot, and Emily turned to Daniel with a quiet, satisfied breath. 4 days later, Patricia opened her front door to a second postcard lying on the mat. The image showed a yellow palace under a blue sky. She flipped it over.
Read page 3? What does that mean? Is this another trick? No. She said that to me on the phone. Read page 3. That was weeks ago. She planned this from the start. The elopement, the clawback, now she's making sure I know.
She stumbled to the filing cabinet and yanked out the trust binder, its leather cover smudged from the last frantic search. She carried it to the table, her legs unsteady. The binder felt heavier than it had any right to.
I already know what's on page 3, but she wants me to see it again to remember who won.
She opened the cover and turned the pages one by one, her breath shallow. She stopped at the top of page 3, the clause she had memorized in dread staring back at her. Patricia read the clause aloud, her voice a broken whisper. Each word fell into the silence like a stone.
80,000 disbursed, 61,000 clawed back, and the personal liability clause, I'm on the hook for every cent.
The binder slid off the table and thudded onto the floor. Patricia didn't pick it up.
She knew. Emily knew from the start. She waited for this moment.
She sank onto the floor, her back against the chair, and let the tears come. No screaming, no denial, just the sound of someone breaking.
He was right, Arthur. I never read page 3, and now I'm paying for it with everything I have.
The wet postcard from Sintra was still in her hand, crumpled and smeared. She didn't throw it away.
I can't call anyone. I can't fix this. She won. She beat me with paper and silence.
She stayed on the floor as dusk fell, the room darkening around her, the weight of the claws pressing her down. The house was silent except for her breathing. The proud woman who had stolen from her daughter was now just a shadow on the floor. Across town, the Sol Dorado Tequila import storefront bore a single sign: closed. Dust settled on the window displays. Inside, Michael Chen packed years of inventory into cardboard boxes, the silence louder than any tequila tasting.
This was supposed to be my empire. Instead, it's a liquidation sale because Mom skipped a page.
He sealed the last box and sat on the floor, surrounded by the wreckage of a business that never broke even. Meanwhile, Patricia ended a call with her lawyer. The words "no recourse" still echoed in the quiet house.
I'm liable for every cent. There's no fighting it. She wrote the law into the trust.
A bank statement arrived the next morning, showing her personal account drained to a negative balance. The money Emily had been promised was now hers. The money Michael had burned through was gone for good. In Lisbon, Emily and Daniel didn't watch. They didn't need to. The postcards had said enough. All that remained of the Chen family fortune was 2 postcards, a closed trust, and a woman who finally understood what page 3 could do. In Lisbon, Emily stood on the tiled balcony at dusk, the framed photo of her grandfather cradled in her hands.
I used it my way, Grandpa. You wrote the rule on page 3, and I made sure they read it.
Daniel stepped onto the balcony and stood beside her, his hand resting on the small of her back.
No regrets about cutting them off completely?
I don't feel guilt. I feel relief. The money was meant for a new start, and now we have it.
They left the photo on the balcony rail and walked down to the beach, the sand cool under their bare feet. The Atlantic stretched before them, the horizon dissolving into bands of gold and violet.
She'll never call again. That's a promise I believe.
They walked hand in hand along the shore, the foam erasing their footprints as quickly as they left them.
We're free.
The sun dipped below the Atlantic, and the beach turned to a mirror of violet and gold.
Everything Grandpa wanted for me is right here. No guilt, no strings, just us.
They walked until the stars came out, the city lights of Lisbon twinkling in the distance. Back in the hotel room, 2 postcards lay on the wooden table, one of the tiled chapel, one of the Peña Palace. Beside them sat the leather trust binder, its cover closed for the last time. No one would open it again. The postcards had said everything necessary. 3 words, then 3 more. Outside, the sea continued its quiet rhythm, washing the shore clean. And in the morning, there were no missed calls on Emily's phone. She never called again.